Hey there folks, welcome ye all to this Christmassy vlog of mine. It's that time of year again, people, can you believe it? It's Christmas time, mistletoe and wine. That's enough of that, Steve. No, nobody's tuned in to hear you do that. Welcome ye all, people, to this yearly Christmassy vlog of mine. And do you know, the last time I did a proper vlog like this was the 31st of December 2021, people, like last year. So I've been doing the podcasts upstairs, but the last time I've done one like this, which is the way I used to always do them, was the 31st of December last year. And the reason I've noticed that is because when I came to record on the laptop down here, which is my personal laptop, my baby that I love, when you bring the little sound recorder up, it's got all of my history of, well, I haven't deleted any of them for a long time. So I did a Christmas one around the same time. I think it was the 23rd. This is actually the 22nd I'm recording this. I recorded it on the 23rd last year, and the New Year one was then the 31st, right on New Year's Eve. So I didn't even do it in the run-up to New Year's Eve. I actually did it on New Year's Eve. So yeah, I mean, it's surprising, because this is the way that I used to do all of my sort of chat to you guys kind of stuff. And then when I mixed the room up upstairs where I actually work for my day job, I made some of that room also big, because it's my spare room effectively. So I've got my desk and everything up there, and because I've got another laptop up there, I tend to just do that stuff upstairs for podcasts, and then the vlogs will happen down here. However, the vlogs I've been doing down here have all been for this year anyway, have all been on the iPhone, just little quick ones to say hi. And if I've done anything like this, then I've done it as a podcast upstairs. Now I'll tell you now, before I get going, let me just say this and let me say no more. This is a very sort of diverse vlog. I have got things I want to talk about specifically. I will try and put the time codes in if you want to see what those subject matters are in advance, people, if you're not watching it live. So I will do all of those things. So if you're happy just to hear me ramble on and hear what the process is for and what the order is for this particular vlog, and I'm going to chat about the year, I'm going to chat about my game of the year, I'm going to chat about Callisto Protocol, I'm going to chat about a load of games that I've played. I'm going to talk about all of the games that I've played on the channel through the year and all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty much the concept for this video. Just a yearly roundup, people, and to say hi to you guys and chat to you, get feedback from you, all those sorts of things, see how the channel's done this year. So we'll get into all of that, people. Yes, we will. I was going to say that I'm not going to do another podcast upstairs the way that I've been doing them. My work, what I've tended to do is, because my work laptop's already up there, I've tended just to record the podcasts on that laptop, because I've got a second Rode microphone up there anyway, and I've got the set. Well, you'll have seen the setup for the podcast, but I've got a second Rode microphone up there, so it's just easier for me to record that upstairs. Now the problem I've got is that my work laptop, although it's meant to be super powerful, it's meant to be more powerful than this one, but it is just awful. Like it's not a brand, it's a sort of pretend. it's pretending to be a powerful laptop is what it's doing. I don't know what its problem is, but I know other people have got one as well, and they're not great. So the last podcast I did turned into an absolute nightmare, and it's been a little bit painful doing them in general, but that was just it was almost like it just peaked. And it was so painful. It took me about 4 hours to put the video together. And doing it on my HP laptop, which is a similar power, but maybe it's supposedly a little bit less. This HP laptop I've got down here, which was £1,000, it was an expensive laptop. And that was, 5 years ago, going on 6 years ago? Well, I bought it when I was moving back from Edinburgh back to Blackpool. And that was 2017. So, and it's still uber. I mean, weirdly, it won't let me put Windows 11 on it. I mean, if this bloody thing can't take Windows 11, how the world is going to move to Windows 11, I've got no idea. Because it's still, it's it is a proper powerful laptop, quad-core processor, all that sort of stuff, and I think it's got 16 gig of RAM, and it's super. I mean, it's what I do all my recording on it. It's really, really powerful, really good. And I think, generally speaking, in the world of laptops, obviously you can go up to about $4,000 or something, but £1,000 laptop's not to be sniffed at. So yeah, I don't know why Windows 11 is not going to go onto it. It must be to do with it doesn't support blah. Well, I don't know that particular year of processor or whatever it is. I think it's an i7 quad-core processor that I've got in there. So it must just be they've got different version numbers attached to those, haven't they? And it must be that they just haven't supported it the year that I have, which is just crazy. I mean, maybe as time goes on they'll support more, but at the moment it just seems mad to me that a laptop that powerful can't take Windows 11. It's crazy. So, well, as it is, it's probably safer for me not to move to Windows 11 because everything I've got on it works just dandy, thank you very much. So until it gets to a point where Windows 10 isn't supported, then there's no point in me even worrying about it. But that laptop, as long as nothing untoward happens, touch you would, it will be doing me for a lot of years. And I have actually got tagged a new laptop that I thought might be a good replacement for it, and it's another HP. But I'm not going to be investing in one yet because this just does everything I need it to. It's superb. But even when I do get a second one, and well, to be fair, the problems I've had with that work one upstairs, I'm tempted to, but I won't. Not this year anyway, as long as everything goes okay. I'd still keep this one. I'd have two. You know, I would use this one maybe upstairs just for doing the podcast and stuff and that sort of thing. Maybe use the new one for doing the gaming stuff down here. But yeah, I mean, I would certainly still be using it. I mean, I use it for everything. It's got all my music on it as well, and I play all my music through it and what have you. And it plays the music direct from that to Sony soundbars. I've probably talked about this in other vlogs, but when I got my big 55-inch TV, it's a Sony. And the day after I bought it, I got a phone call from Curry's, and they were like, "No, is that Mr. Gillespie?" I was like, "Yeah." And they was, "Oh, you bought a TV yesterday?" I was like, "Oh no, what's wrong? What's happened?" Because I never get phone calls about good stuff, people. And they said, "No, nothing's wrong. It's just that you were meant to get a free soundbar with it, and we forgot to give it to you. So if you can pop in." And I was like, "Bloody hell, right, okay." And I went in, and it wasn't like it wasn't a cheap one. It was a proper Sony full-on soundbar with big woofer and everything. So it was so good that after I'd been using it, I bought a second one, and you'll see it. I'll probably have put some footage up of my Christmas decks, people, which we were going to mention at the beginning of this video, and I've gone off on a ramble already. But I've got another one of those soundbars in the other room, which actually has that lightsaber behind me. Actually lies on top of it on a little stand, or two little stands, basically balances. And it sits through there, and I play all my music into there basically if I'm down here. Superb. Really, really, really love the sound that comes out of them. I've gone way off track here, people, but anyway, yes, I'm well set up. If I do change anything, I'll be sticking with this laptop for a purpose of another reason. But yeah, it's a bit like my 2000 Honda Accord car. I'm going to be gutted when I have to give it up. I love it so much. The best $2,000 I ever spent, people. I bought a Honda Accord it was a 2000. It must have been some old guy or a couple that owned it, and they barely never went anywhere in it. I mean, I bought it 7 years ago, and it only had 40,000 on the clock, and I've still only managed to get it to around 81 or something, 81,000. But it'll be the rust that gets it, but it runs like a dream. I mean, it's a proper car. It's really, really nice. And it must have been top of the range in its day, because it's got those, you know, like they used to do back in the day. They've got like a shiny wooden bit of wood across the dashboard and bits and pieces and stuff. It's got electric windows at the front, windy windows in the back, people. And when I bought it, it had a tape deck in it. That was brilliant. I mean, obviously, I went out and bought a CD. Well, CD/Blu. I mean, I never used a CD, but I bought one with a CD on it just in case I wanted to play my CDs. But a CD/Bluetooth player. But I play everything from the iPhone. So yeah, but the speakers, it's got the original speakers in it, and they are superb. Like the sound in that car is amazing. So I'm going to be gutted when I have to give that car up. It's got aircon in it as well. I mean, for a 2000 car, it must have been well top end. Superb. Japanese, people, you can't beat it. Well, I mean, Japanese, Korean, German. You're not going to go wrong in a car, are you, with those? Flaggins up to you all, people. I don't think I've said it yet, have I? Good grief. The first thing I was going to talk about was my Christmas decorations, people. Although I say this every year, it doesn't look Christmassy behind me per se. But if you look closely, you can see this room is covered in Christmas stuff. It's just that it's not... There's lights above where we are, going across the top of the window frame. They come down. It goes over the right-hand side here and all around the room and down onto like a little cone of a Christmas tree shaped thing. That's my little minimalist Christmas tree, because I don't really have much space for a Christmas tree. And then you can just see the Christmassy sock hanging there. There's another couple of there's a Santa over here to my left. There's a Nutcracker over here to my right. There's another bigger Nutcracker down here behind the laptop. There's a little guy here with Christmassy stuff. I mean, I will have taken some footage and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. But I show it every year. It's pretty much the same setup I go with every year. There's tinsel at the base of the TV and all sorts of things, people. It's Christmas. It's as Christmassy as I go. I think, if anything, I would have liked one more tall Nutcracker to put in the other room, because I think I put this big guy that I just showed you, I put him in the chill out area out there. But in fact, I've ended up putting these little miniature ones out there this time, because I put him there by mistake and thought, actually, I like him there now. But I was kind of in two minds about putting the Christmas decks out this year. I only put them out yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday, yeah. Because I went uptown, I wanted to get a specific gift for my dad, and I ended up getting a couple. But I came back from that was first thing in the morning. And then I was like, am I going to put the decks up? Because I was like, much as I just want to enjoy my break more than anything, people. And because anyone that knows me knows that I live alone, it's like I'm only really putting them up for me. Well, for my dad. My dad's going to come around and see me Christmas morning. And we'll get some time together then before he goes off to do other stuff in the afternoon. And I thought, well, it would be nice to have the decks up for him coming anyway. And I came back from the shops, I was like, I thought I really needed to dust the house down as well. I always have a clean house. Well, I always have a tidy house. Like, there's never stuff lying around and stuff. I'm always quite, I'm quite sort of house proud like that. But, dusting the house, people. It's at times like that I wish I lived in a flat again. It's just like, it's just too much dusting for one man. And it needed a proper good dusting down. And I thought, if I put these decks out, I'm going to have to dust down. Anyway, it turned into a 3.5 hour clean session, and then I put the decks up at the end. And in fact, it was, once I got the clean done, I put some Christmas music on the laptop and just put all the decks up while that was on. And it turned out a really nice evening. So I've now got this evening to do my Christmassy vlog and have a little ship, people, of this. And I shall continue to have a bit of this while I'll be editing all this together, and then I will be probably wrapping some presents and writing out some cards, and that'll be me kind of prepped for Christmas. There's a few things to get ready for me dad, and that's kind of it really, because Aaron Brew, my boy, he's all grown up. For anyone that follows the channel knows that, because he's been on the channel a few times. I tend to just give him money now, because that sort of really benefits him the most. So there's not really a lot to do for him, and obviously he's in Edinburgh and I'm in Blackpool, so we won't actually see each other. We've just seen each other in November there, in the run up to Christmas, and we text every day anyway. It's, we're always close. So I'm all settled, people, and it's been a nice run up to Christmas as well. The work Christmas meal was back this year, and we hadn't seen it proper for 2 years. There was a version of it last year, but it was a minimal version. You had to book a table, and it was all spread out. We didn't manage to get seats anyway for it last year, so we did sort of a pub lunch with a few of us. But at the place I work, which is a college, they've got it's the new. Well, I say new. It's probably about 5 years old now, maybe older than that now, but this big cafeteria with 2 floors, and they basically just do a massive lunch and stuff for the staff of the college, the people that book. So there's about 350 people all in one room, and you have eats, and you have a little award ceremony, and you have carols and stuff. So it's a really nice event, and it's really nice. It's one of those events that just makes you feel appreciated, and you have a really nice time, and you get to see people you might not have seen for a while, and all that sort of stuff, all that good stuff, people. So that all happened. I then went on it was a Christmas party, effectively is what it was, but it was sort of a gathering of, I think it was like blah amount of pounds per head. And my dad and his partner Linda have got they're part of a music group. They do gigs all the time. It's part of the I always forget the name of them. U3A, is it? Sort of a retired people's club of some description, I think it is. And they all get together and rehearse, and they do gigs all around the place. And they had this sort of party, and they asked me to go along, so I went along for that. And that was really nice and Christmassy as well. It was really, really good laugh. So I've had a really nice sort of run up, and then that was last Saturday, and my last day of work was Monday just gone, and this is now, what day are we on, people? Thursday? I've lost all track of time because I'm off work. It is Thursday the 22nd. So that's me now, all chilled out. Monday was my last day of work, working from home. And then that was me. Tuesday, I was all in for the big chill out. That said, Tuesday turned into a big 13k run, followed by an hour's worth of weight session. So I'm actually still aching after that because I hadn't done any weights for a good few weeks. Again, I need to get my thing back on. And I've been a bit naughty when it came to the Christmas food already before Christmas had even started proper. So yeah, I decided to give myself a bit of a kick in the arse and not let myself get out of control. So I've got a good run and a good workout out the way, and I'll probably do another session of that on Christmas Eve, and then enjoy Christmas Eve. So where are we now? We're on Christmas Eve. Yeah, something like that. Christmas Eve is where we are at the moment. So I'll do another sporty session on Christmas Eve, I think. Weather permitting, I'll get a run in again, and then maybe follow it up like I did with that. I came back, did the 13k, came back there, did an hour worth of weights. It was something, people. I can still barely walk properly after the lunges I did. Walking like a cowboy, people. Anyway, should we talk about some gamey stuff? I think, well, the very first thing we want to do, people, yes we do, and it's the most important thing of all, is to say thank you to all of you for supporting this channel throughout this year, throughout all the years before it, and thank you to everyone from the very beginning who's been following me from the very start, to all of those people that have followed me and stuck with me ever since, even to those people who follow me sometimes and bounce in and out of subscription, which is fine. That happens from time to time, depends if you're playing something that people are enjoying or not. That's alright, you understand that. So to everyone that follows me continuously or on off, or just enjoys my videos to any extent, a thank you for all of your support. It is the reason that I keep doing what I'm doing. I started the channel because I wanted to communicate and chat with other gamers and just be part of that sort of community. That was the whole purpose of why I did it. So whenever I flag a little bit and I feel like not doing it anymore, and I think somebody did this to me the other week there as well, and they sent a message saying, I can't remember what the message was, but it was a really nice message about loving the videos and making a difference to the day and all this sort of stuff. And that's the sort of stuff that keeps me doing it, because there are times when I just feel like, I'm pounding up videos, I don't feel like people are appreciating them, and not by any fault of yours, just by, am I doing the right thing, should I just not bother with this and just don't, and it's a lot of the reason why a lot of the Let's Plays don't finish, because I feel like people have just gone off the boil with them. And it's a big investment of time to do a full Let's Play from beginning to end, and that's why I don't finish every game that I start. I always want to put a few videos up of everything that I play, certainly RPG wise, just so that people can see it's always good to do that early anyway, just so that you guys can see what the game's like, and it's always good to get them up early because you'll get quite high up on the list of searches and stuff like that for the YouTube channel. So, it is the thing that keeps me going is you guys telling me that you're still enjoying it. And I get those messages intermittently throughout the year, and that's what keeps me going. So thank you for those messages. Keep them coming. Keep letting me know that you want to see what I'm doing. And we shall keep grafting on, people. I keep saying this every year. I think I make the same statement. But I feel like I've been doing the channel for probably... I want to say about 12 years. I feel like I started doing it proper when the PS4 came out. Well, I dabbled in it when the PS4 came out, and through the years that followed I started to invest in the hardware and stuff to make it better. And that was just me posting up little footages of me playing. It was all very embarrassing, people. In fact, they're all still there. I haven't taken anything off my channel, so everything from the beginning is still there. But you can see how much I've grown comfortable with doing what I do. So it was very awkward at the beginning, getting used to talking to yourself on a microphone, all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's been about 12 years or so, 11 or 12 years. I think it'll be 12 years next year that I've been doing it to some degree, and probably about 10 years that I've been trying to do it proper, I think. So I think the first big post up I did that spurred me on to want to do more was Arcania. Gothic, well, Arcania as it's called. Not guys, it was Gothic Arcania, then they just cut it down to Arcania. But nobody else had posted any up on the PS4. I shared it straight from the PS4. I don't even talk in the video, and it's still one of my most watched videos to the day. But that was the video that I thought maybe I should try and do something, and maybe I should try and do commentary and what have you. That's where it all began, people. That's where it all began. So there you are. Yeah. So a big, massive thank you to everybody. However this channel has given you any kind of joy and you have stuck with me, thank you to each and every one of you. God bless you all, if indeed he's up there somewhere, people. Flag is up to you again. So, what we're going to talk about first, people. Christmas decks, we've talked about those. Thank you. We've said that already. We'll say it again, people. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So, what happened on the channel this year, people? Well, here you go. I went through my list of games that I've been playing, right? Throughout this year, just so we could rattle through what I'd put up on the channel. And there's a few in there that we got finished as well, and a big one certainly that I got finished with a lot of episodes. And now that I've written this list, I'm now wondering about Diablo 2, but I feel like Diablo 2 was the previous year. But anyway, it certainly wasn't on my list of things I scrolled down that were within this year's dates. So we've got, this is in no particular order actually. Steel Rising, unfinished but close to the end. Callisto Protocol, full playthrough, people, on the channel on the Xbox Series X. Kingdoms of Amalur re-reckoning. We are on with it. We're on episode, I think we're on part 40 blah. I can't remember what the exact number is, but part 40 blah, people. We're in the 40s. That will continue at some point. I keep sort of drifting off, people, to go and do other things. Then I always come back to Kingdoms of Amalur. We will come back to it. Knights of the Old Republic, I did a couple of parts of it. It didn't grab me. I can get why people were into it. It didn't grab me the way I was expecting it to, and I think that's probably why I didn't carry on with it. I did have a couple of people saying, am I going to do any parts on it? And I was like, probably not. It was kind of a bit slower than I anticipated, and it's quite difficult to do a Let's Play on a game that is so conversationally orientated. It's just a lot of talking to people, and I'm not overly sure how interesting that is to a bigger audience. So anyway, I did a couple of parts of it. Fable 3, full playthrough, people. We did a full playthrough of Fable 3. No mean feat. There was quite a few episodes in that, people. I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. Superb with its, was it FPS boost that was on it? Gave it 60 FPS, I think, which is why I played it. It was absolutely gorgeous. Witcher 3, which we've just started. I have actually recorded 9 parts, but at this particular moment in time, only 6 or 7 have been uploaded. There'll be one tonight, which you'll already know is there by the time this goes out, because by the time I get this out, that'll probably have already published. So that's already uploaded and ready to go at 7 this evening on the 22nd, and there's one already uploaded for tomorrow as well, parts 7, I think it is, tomorrow. And then there is a part 8 and a part 9 already recorded, and I will upload those in the next few days. So for the next number of days, all the way through to Christmas Day, you'll have a Witcher to watch. Witcher 3, and all of those episodes are around an hour and a half to, well, between an hour and 20 to an hour and 30 minutes, bar one episode, which was an hour and 40 minutes. It was ridiculously long. But I was just so engrossed that I just wanted to keep going until I reached certain points and what have you. And because of Filmora Wondershare, which I keep rambling on about, but the editing software that I use now, which is Filmora by a company called Wondershare, the rendering speed is so fast to do the video. It takes, and I mean, that hour and 40 minute video, I think it took it about half an hour to render it. It was insanely quick. It used to take about 4 hours to do a video. That's why I used to stick to an hour per episode. So yeah, as long as that stays doing that as quickly, then I may well do much longer episodes. But an hour's a nice time slot, though. I think a lot of people find anything longer a bit much as well for one intake of an episode, but it's a hard balance to find. I will probably still keep most things to an hour, but it is nice when I get engrossed like that to be able to just crack on and know it's not going to be a nightmare trying to render it all together. I mean, uploading it to YouTube still takes a good hour and a half for a video that size, or even longer. I think the hour and 40 minute one was near an hour and 50 minutes or something. And then it'll take it a good few hours to actually render it in HD. It'll do the SD version quite quickly, but HD, it takes a lot longer. For that, that's YouTube. There's nothing I can do about that. Hey, where do we get to? Witcher 3. So yes, there will be more Witcher 3 coming. Certainly at the moment, that's what I feel like doing. I'm not sure that Witcher 3 playthrough is going to be a full playthrough. But at the moment, I wanted to fire up as much as I could because it's the new gen upgrade for The Witcher 3 has just landed. So I wanted to throw up footage of the 60 FPS and it's absolutely glorious. I did find one place in part 9, I think it was, might be 8, where it started jittering a bit when I went into a village where there was quite a lot of people wandering around. It was when I was heading towards Kira Metz. You have to go to a village of Walsop or something like that. And when I went into that village, it was like a mix of water, mist and loads of people, and it started to jitter a bit. So it wasn't quite... It's the only place I've seen it happen though. Everywhere else has been absolutely gorgeous. Once I was actually inside the village, it stopped doing it right enough. It was when you were stood outside of it, it was almost like I couldn't cope. But absolutely glorious otherwise. It's been fantastic, superb. I love that. It's one of the best games ever made, The Witcher 3. It is superb. So engrossing. The Last of Us Part 1, I did 5 or 6 episodes, I think, of that to let people see what it was like. There were a few people asking me to keep doing it, but... I'd never had any intention of playing that game fully on the channel. That all said, I haven't continued from where I left off that last part. So you never know, but I doubt it. I'm probably going to play that off. In fact, now that I've finished Callisto on the PS5, which we'll talk about in a bit, that is the game I'm going to try and finish off camera. Just get that played through. Because I have a cheeky feeling from the package that arrived from Aaron Brew that I've got another game from him, and I'm not sure which one it is. Well, I've got a sneaky feeling I might know what it is, but... so I'm looking forward to that on Christmas Day, so that'll be something else to play. So between now and Christmas Day, if I can manage to get through The Last of Us Part 1, which is The Last of Us remake, that'd be pretty good news, because then I could just crack on with whatever he's got me. Victor Vran, which is a top-down sort of Van Helsing type, Diablo type game. And I was enjoying it, but it wasn't doing particularly well view-wise on the channel, so I sort of jumped off it and went on to... I think that's when I jumped onto Torchlight 2, which... What was it? It might have been the other way around. But Torchlight 2, I was loving that. And I'm still where I was. I haven't done any more of that either. But again, the channel views weren't overly great, so I kind of jumped off it and went on to something else. I might have been back to Kingdoms of Amalur right now. Torchlight 2, I cannot recommend that game enough. If you love your top-down sort of Diablo sort of stuff, yeah, it's in a more cartoony style, but it's not a kid game in any shape or form. It is a really great top-down looter, dungeony game. It is fantastic. And if you look back at reviews from when it came out, they were like 9.5s and 10s out of 10s. It's just superb. I can see why it got the praise it did. Torchlight 3 is apparently nowhere near as good as that. It's all kind of a mess. But Torchlight 2 is absolutely superb. So if you see it on offer, it was out on the 360. It then got remastered, I think, for the Xbox One and what have you, and that's the version that I played. I think you can get it on PlayStation as well. Don't think there was anything exclusive about it. So if you can find the most recent version of Torchlight 2, I cannot recommend it enough, people. Absolutely superb. And I'm very tempted to go. I actually looked at the views on it on the channel, and they'd gone up quite a bit since I stopped doing it. So I might drag that back into life at some point. Grim Dawn, people. Good grief, what a game that was. Absolutely superb. Top-down Diablo-esque type game. And it was massive on the PC, and they brought it over to the Xbox. Yeah, this was the thing, actually. I was telling Craigie Boy to go play it, but he's a PS5 player. And he's got an Xbox One, but he's really into the PlayStation now. So and I told him, yeah, you go and play that. But actually, it wasn't until I told him to go play it that I realised actually it's only on the Xbox. It's Grim Dawn doesn't seem to be on PlayStation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I couldn't find it on PlayStation. So I'm wondering if it will come to the PS5 at some point. But absolutely superb. If you're looking for a Diablo-esque type game with a little bit of a different twist on it, I can't recommend Grim Dawn highly enough, and I have done a full playthrough of that game on the channel, people. So we saw that all the way through, and there was a lot of episodes to that as well. So I did stick with it, people. We got there in the end, but I was thoroughly enjoying it, that's why. So I can't recommend Grim Dawn heavily enough, people. Absolutely superb. Dragon Age Origins, we revived that from the previous year, and it was popular and people keep asking me to go back to it. I've kind of revived it and then gone away from it again. I will probably go back to it at some point because I'd like to see that playthrough through. Elden Ring, again, loads of episodes on Elden Ring. I think what put me off Elden Ring in the end was that people kept telling me, oh, every time I finish something or finish a boss, someone would go, oh, you've only scratched the surface. I'm like, for the love of fucking God, I'm about 50 episodes in. I don't want to play this game till the end of time, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think that's kind of why I sort of withered away from it in the end. But I am stood exactly where I was standing at the end of the last part. I've done nothing off camera. I know exactly, I can vision where I am and I know where I'm going. So there is every possibility that I will revive Elden Ring at some point for those people that want to see me do a bit more of it. So that's all the stuff that I'd been doing on the channel. That I sort of scanned through anyway. I'm pretty sure that was all of it. So we've got a fair bit on the channel through the year, people. Not bad at all, really. Absolutely fantastic. And if you take any vlogs and mini vlogs and podcasts through the year, then we've got, content-wise, I've put quite a lot up there, I have to say. I'm pretty chuffed with how much I got through this year. Is it the most I've put up in a year? Probably not. There might have been a heavier year. But I feel like it was quite... When I was doing Grim Dawn, I feel like I was bouncing between Grim Dawn and Fable 3. So I suspect it might have been really heavy with videos at that point. I think I was putting 2 up a day. Off camera... Oh, actually, that's interesting. I started an off-camera list, but in fact... Well, I suppose that's true. Off camera, I did Resident Evil 4, which is the most recent version of Resident Evil 4, because I wanted to... Aaron Brew was down, and I was like, I've never played this game all the way through. I'd only ever played it with him a little bit when he was way younger than he is now. And when he was here, we said, oh, let's play that then, we'll take it. So we started it when he was here for about 3 days, and then... When he went away, I think he thought, oh, he'll dump that when I'm gone. But I kept going with it, and I saw it all the way through to the end and thoroughly enjoyed it. And that was like, I went into Resident Evil mode at that point, and I was like, right, I want to try another Resi game. And I'd heard loads of good things about Resident Evil Revelations through the years, but I'd never played it because it was initially a handheld title. And then when it hit the consoles, I think it hit the consoles in PS4 time, an Xbox One time, and I just never got round to trying them out. So that was my moment, and they were cheap. So I bought Revelations 1, Revelations 2. I got Resident Evil 0, which I haven't touched yet, but that plays like Resident Evil 1. It's top-down sort of mode, but I will get to play it at some point. I think there was another one as well. But anyway, I got pretty much everything. Oh, 5. Which actually, I played Revelations, and I just adored it. So I played that right after Resident Evil 4, because that in timeline, I looked at the timeline of what you should play them in order of how things happen in event-wise, and I think Revelations came after 4, then it was Resi 5, and then it's Revelations 2. So I played 4, then I played Revelations, absolutely adored Revelations, then I went into Resi 5, which in fact, do you know, I was actually really enjoying it, with the exception of having to take care of bloody your partner, because I was playing it on my own, and even if you're playing it with someone else, because I remember I played that game a lot back in the day, so I finished it way back when, but it's just painful looking after the partner. Like with Revelations, you didn't have to give your partner ammo and stuff. What happened with the partner in Revelations was that in fact, you can't even play Revelations with a co-op partner in the story. You can, I think there's another mode you can play in, but you can't play the story with someone else. You just have a AI partner that comes with you most of the time. And what happens is they tend to be able to stagger an enemy, but they don't actually do any damage, is how it seems to work. And that's a great way of doing it. But with Resident Evil 5, it's like you've got to find, they'll just do nothing if you don't give them ammo or they don't pick it up. They've not got anything to shoot with. So they're just a bag of no help. And so it's like this person you've got to take care of as well as you. And you're already short of bloody ammo as it is. So it's like, it was doing me head in. So that everything else I was absolutely loving about it. Because I thought I'd struggle to go back to... Because in Resident Evil Revelations you can move and shoot. Whereas in Resi 5, as we all know, you can't. It's the same as 4. You have to stand still. The minute you shoot, you stand still. You can't move. And I thought that would bug me, but it didn't, in fact. I was kind of quite happy with it. I would have preferred to be able to move and shoot, but it didn't affect me. But it was just the frustration of taking care of... Was it Shiva? Shiva. I can't remember what her name is. No, Shiva's out of Final Fantasy. I can't remember her name now. Anyway, I was enjoying it, but that was just doing me head in. So I thought, right, I'm going to jump to Revelations 2. And there was a lot of good in Revelations 2, and I was back to being Claire Redfield, and I thought, ooh, I might enjoy this then. But it was too... I didn't enjoy it anywhere near as good as Revelations 1. You were having to bounce between two characters. You were always with a partner. It almost felt more Evil Within than it felt Resident Evil. Or Silent Hill even. It was too... And I'm like that. The more I think about Silent Hill, the more I remember not being... It made me uneasy, that sort of game. And not a nice way. Whereas with Resi and Dead Space and Callisto, it's all kind of spooky that I can manage. But that sort of Evil Within-y slash... well, Evil Within 1, I'd certainly say, and Silent Hill, it kind of goes a bit too on the creepoid side for me. I don't know what it is, it just makes me uneasy. So I wasn't enjoying it anywhere near as much as Revelations 1, and so I ended up stopping. And I think it was around the time that Callisto was dropping anyway, so it didn't really matter because I was going to be playing that, and that's what I've been on with for the last couple of weeks, outside of The Witcher 3, which has taken up a big chunk of this week. So, well, where are we, Thursday? Yeah, big chunk of, well, I can't remember when I posted the first one up now. The last weekend, yeah, I did 2 parts on Saturday and 2 parts on Sunday I posted up. So I recorded on, must have been Friday evening and Saturday. So yeah, for The Witcher anyway. So yeah, so The Witcher and Callisto have been the 2, but I finished Callisto. Well, we'll talk about Callisto properly now actually, because we're going to move on from what I've been doing. So that's pretty much what I've been doing off camera. And before that, obviously I did a... well, in fact, I can't remember. I mean, I reached a point where I stopped posting stuff up on the channel for a number of weeks because I just wanted to play a game for the sake of playing a game rather than playing a game specifically to then have to put up onto the channel. I just wanted to sit and enjoy the game. And that's kind of what spurred me on to... I think because I was already on with Resi 4, that's what spurred me on to then play Revelations like that and so on. I put some PS4 shares up, I think, but I didn't actually do any proper videos for a little while, for a few weeks. And it was really nice just sitting and enjoying a game for what it was. And it's games that I wouldn't have normally put on the channel anyway, so... Anywho, so there you go, people. Loads done on the channel through the year. Far more than I've done off the channel, so you've got the majority of what I've done. by all stretches of the imagination. So I think it's been a really positive year for content. I mean, I do get, whenever I stop putting content up, I do get messages saying, are you going to do anything soon and what have you. It's really just a little bit of downtime, and I appreciate the fact that you guys want to see content as regularly as possible, but every now and then you just need to step away and just enjoy a little bit of gaming or a little bit of chill out without the channel for a few weeks or whatever, because you have to remember that for most people of a channel of this size, and certainly for me, it's a hobby, it's a pastime, it's an addition to what you already have, which is a day job. And it might seem like all you're doing is just, well, what's the problem, Steve? You're just sitting playing games, but it's not. I don't find talking into the microphone hard work at all, because it's almost natural to me now. I often talk to myself anyway, people. Even if I'm not recording, I end up saying stuff out loud. But it is work to record and then piece it together and then upload it and then do all the notes and do all that. There is work involved in it, so it is sometimes nice just to play a game for the sake of playing a game, not have to worry about schmelting everything together and so on and so forth. So sometimes stepping away and just enjoying games for games helps you then revitalise yourself to come back and do content for the channel. So it is good to do, without any shadow of a doubt. And then when I get back into the flow of it, I thoroughly enjoy it, especially if I'm loving the game. Yeah. So yes, positive year for the channel, methinks. Let me know in the comments below if you agree. I think it was. I think it's been a great year for content on the channel. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything you would have liked me have done that I didn't do, or continue that I didn't continue, and so on and so forth. Or if you agree with me and it's been a good year for the channel. So here we go. My game of the year, people. Now, bear in mind that my game of the year isn't the best game necessarily that came out this year. It is a game that I played for the first time this year, so there are a few new ones in the list, to be fair. So when I say my game of the year, in this particular case, I'm talking about my game of the year that I've played for the first time. So just bear that in mind when you hear me shout out a name of a game that's not from this year's releases. That's not always the case. I think the last time I did my game of the year, it was new games in the list, but anyway. So here's the list of 4, right, in this order. And this is going to surprise a few people, I think. So in 4th place, and I know I've not finished it yet, but in 4th place is Elden Ring. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Elden Ring. I loved the open world Dark Souls Bloodborne vibe. I thought they did a fantastic job with it. I feel like with a bit more time they might have put a bit more into the sort of underground cavey bits. Underground sort of open world cavey bits all became very the same thing. You know, work your way through this mine, there's a big door at the end with a big creature in it for no other reason than no one knows why. There's just a big creature in every cave you go into where they're mining. They've got a big pet monster at the end of it. I feel like those sort of places could have been far more interesting. Like the Witcher can lend people a lot of well, if you want to know how to do an RPG and make everything interesting, then you can look at The Witcher for a lot of ideas on that front. Because for me, you should always write a good story behind every monster. It don't have to be a long story, but for every creature that lives in that land that you're going to classify as a mini boss or a boss, then you should have some sort of story around it. Not just I wandered through this area and here's a big lizard in a cave for no reason other than there's a big lizard behind 2 doors in this cave. So it just that's the little bits that I thought could have been slightly better, but it's clearly a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10 game. Excuse me, for me. That's the only little bits that were missing. Outside of that, I mean, technically there were a few places where it was a bit jittery frame rates wise, but on the whole it was a really nice game to play, and I was totally enthralled with it, and I still kind of am. And I will definitely go back and play that game, I've got no doubt, because I'm always drawn back to anything the From Software do. I've gone back to the Dark Souls games numerous times just to think, oh, I'll try that again. So I have every intention of going back to Elden Ring at some point. But yeah, number 4 on my list, people, Elden Ring. Number 3 on my list is Resident Evil Revelations. And I'm not including Resident Evil 4 in this list because I had played a bit of it before. So otherwise it would have been a top 5, I suppose. If it was going to be a top 5, I'd put Resident Evil 4 in there as well, because superb game, absolutely fantastic. But Resident Evil Revelations in at number 3. Do you know, I had low expectations turning that game on. I thought it'll bug me that the graphics aren't great because it was a handheld game and they've brushed it up for full console and stuff. But in the end, actually graphically it was really sweet. Yeah, you could tell that it probably was started on a handheld, but they brushed it up really well. It was nice and crisp. The action in it was really fun. It was creepy. I mean, they basically, what they did was they've gone with the whole sort of idea of the manor, you know, in Resident Evil 1 where you're in the manor and you've got to work out all the puzzles and stuff. It's like that, but it's on a ship. So you're on this old, well, it's on this sort of tanker ship, but it's a cruise ship actually. But everything inside the cruise ship is kind of Gothic style and Victorian style stuff. So it feels really sort of Gothic and creepy when you're going around it. In different areas look a bit different and what have you. So it's really cool. Like, you know, there's so many different areas that are really good. And the action was a good balance. Like you got really good actiony segments, but you also got really creepy segments. But when you got the actiony segments, you never felt like you were underpowered, or a few times you felt like you could have maybe done with a few more bullets. But in the main areas where you know you're going to get a big fight, there's loads of ammo kicking around. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, people. I can't begin to tell you how much I love this game. You can move and shoot in it, which was, I think, a first for the Resident Evil stuffs. I'm trying to think of where Resident Evil 6 came into that. I know Resident Evil 6 was the first one on main console that you could move and shoot. Can't remember if Revelations came first, but moving and shooting, great. The characters in it, it's the first time I've ever loved the character. Oh god, I'm going to forget her name now. Not Redfield. Who's the other one? It'll come back to me. But it's the first time that I've ever loved that character, because she's kind of never, like, she's always kind of referenced in the other games. She does pitch up in 5 at some point. Well, she is in 5 because, well, spoiler, she is in it, but you don't know what's going on until near the, well, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through, near the end, where you realise it's her and what have you. But your main partner in the game isn't her; it's somebody else. So, Jill Valentine. Thank you, Stephen's memory. So it's the first time I've actually cared about that character at all, because I've never played a game where I actually cared about that character. I've never played 3 before, and I know she's in that game, which actually I'd forgotten to mention that I did actually play a bit of Resident Evil 3 remake at the same time. That's when I when I played a bit of Revelations 2, and I didn't take to it after. I did play it for a fair bit, to be fair, but then I was like, man. And then I went to Resident Evil 3 remake, and I was actually quite enjoying it until it started doing the same thing that Resident Evil 2 remake did, which is the zombies don't, like, when you shoot. I didn't find this in Revelations at all, right? Once you took a zombie down, the zombie was down. I mean, you immediately put it down, it could get back up, but once it was down, proper. But in this game, it's like, it's this irritating way they've done it, where it's like, oh, for the love of fucking Christ, I've already killed that guy 10 minutes ago. What's he coming back to life for? You know what I mean? It's like, we can't be... I mean, it's just reviving the same enemies because they don't know how to make the area interesting, and it really frustrates you. Between that and the fact that they still want to have an enemy that you can't kill chasing you around the place for no particular reason, which just wound me up no end. There's a segment in Revelations where you get enemies that you can't kill, but you can run around them and stuff. Like, the area, it gets a bit frustrating because you've got to try and get around them and pick stuff up. You're looking for specific things. But I never found any of that frustration with Revelations, or 4, or any of the other Resi games. It's only the remakes that have really, really frustrated me like that. So, I don't know. Even in Resident Evil 8, I didn't mind Lady Dimitrescu because there wasn't a lot of that. Like, she only chases you around for a little while, and that's, you know, that's kind of done. I mean, with Resident Evil 2 remake, fuck me. I mean, Mr. X is just there all the time, bouncing around the place. It's like, just fuck off, mate. I just want to look around some rooms, you know what I mean? I just want to explore this place. Will you fuck off and leave me alone? So I kind of switched that. That's when Callisto then landed. But anyway, Revelations, superb, absolutely superb. I cannot recommend it enough. And Jill Valentine's character, finally, I've actually connected with that character to some degree, and she feels like a part of that universe for me now. Whereas before, she just felt like this sort of add-on because I never sort of played those parts. I mean, if I'd played 3 originally, I guess, you know, everything that I've ever touched seems to have been Chris or Claire or Leon. So those are the 3 characters I've always been connected to. But now I kind of feel connected to Jill Valentine, which is fantastic, superb. There was also, I love the scanning they put in it as well. They have, is she a star or is she something else? I think she's a stars member. But they have this scanner, and you have to scan the areas and find items and stuff. It was really cool. And I loved that element of it. It was like things weren't just lying everywhere. You had to, whenever you walked into an area, you just scan the area around, see if you can pick anything up. See if there's things you hadn't quite seen and stuff like that. It was superb, really, really good. And scanning enemies to break them down got you XP and stuff like that. Brilliant. Really, really good. I love that game. Superb. Can't recommend it enough. If you've ever thought, I'm not playing that because it was made for handheld, honestly, go get it now because it's cheap, and you'll enjoy every second of it. Fantastic game. Revelations 1, that is. You might like Revelations 2. I just didn't take to the format of that one. At number 2 is Grim Dawn, people. Again, this is an absolutely superb game. It really, really is. I think this all happened because of Diablo 2. I finished Diablo 2. I'd also done another playthrough of Diablo 3 on the channel, and I was looking for a top-down type of game to play on the channel, and somebody recommended Grim Dawn to me. And I'm sorry that I'm forgetting who you are, but somebody recommended the game. So have you not played Grim Dawn? I'm like, no, what's that? And it was just at the time that Grim Dawn came out as well. So it was just a massive hit on the channel, and it was really good to play it. I just took to it straight away. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And because it's been out for so long on PC, we got it on console with all of the DLC, people. Absolutely all of it. So there was so much to do, and I can't even remember how many episodes there are on the channel, but there's a lot, people. So if you're looking for a good Let's Play of that Diablo-esque ilk. Grim Dawn is up there, people. You can go and see what I'm talking about there. And it's a different spin, and I played as a sort of gunner character, where you're shooting with either pistols or shotguns or rifles. Absolutely superb. Really, really good. Almost a slice of Western combined with Diablo, combined with... superb. I can't begin to tell you how good that game is. If anything, I think I actually enjoyed it more than Diablo, certainly Diablo 2. I know that's a bit dated now, but so much more interest in that Grim Dawn world for you as a character and areas to run through as there was in Diablo 2. But brilliant, and it was made by a smaller group of guys and girls who, when I say guys, I mean both. But it was made by a team, the same team that made Titan Quest, I believe, or some of the same team that made Titan Quest. But I couldn't quite settle into Titan Quest. I found it a little bit clumsy, even though it's a good enough similar. That again is a Diablo-esque type game, but in sort of Greek mythology. Whereas Grim Dawn is in a completely different environment, and they really got their shit together with the mechanics of fighting, because it was so much fun. It was really, really good. So yeah, superb. I mean, you can tell that team had grown into a far more accomplished design set of people with Grim Dawn. It's absolutely superb. No idea if there'll ever be a Grim Dawn 2. They should absolutely make one if they can, or move on to a whole other concept, but do another game of a similar ilk. Because that was absolutely superb. I cannot recommend it enough, people. So there you are, number 2 on my game of the year. And number 1, people, this will probably surprise a lot of you, or maybe not, considering the way I've been going on about it. The Callisto Protocol is my game of the year. It is the game that I have enjoyed the most this year. It's the only game that I finished and immediately wanted to play all over again. I'm going to go into a breakdown of why I like this game and why I believe it is easily a 9 out of 10 of a game for me. I think I was saying it held at a 9.75, but there was a few little things missing. But the more I played it for the second time, the more I thought, you know what, if they'd given themselves another year, we could have really stuck some meat and bones into the sort of intro. Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a minute. So I just adored it. I mean, I can't remember the last time I played a game. Well, I can actually. I think it was probably The Last of Us. The Last of Us, when I played The Last of Us for the first time, I immediately just wanted to play it all over again, straight from the beginning. I'm trying to think where another game has made me feel like that. And that's what happened with Callisto Protocol. Yes, it happened with Dead Space, absolutely, but that was a much, much further time back. But I cannot remember the last time a game's made me go, I just want to play that all over again. And anyone that's following the channel knows that I ordered that game from Shop 2 physically, and then realised the postal strike was on that week, and I was like, I can't not have this on day one, I need it. And I was going to put it on the channel as well. So what I did was, I was so convinced that I wasn't going to mind having 2 copies that I ordered a digital copy on the Xbox, so I knew I had it for day one, and then I had my PS5 version arriving whenever it arrived. So the version you've got on the channel is the Xbox One Series X, Steve, what are you saying? Xbox Series X version, and then I played the PS5 version off camera, which I just finished this very day, people, on the PS5. I got 80% of the trophies, so I didn't get all the pickups and stuff, which is a little bit frustrating, but fine, it gives me an excuse to go back and play it at some point when the new game plus and everything happens. But yeah, the last time I wanted to dive straight back into a game like that, can't even remember. The only one I can remember feeling like that with was The Last of Us and Dead Space, but they were a long time ago. So it was superb, people. It gave me everything I was hoping it would give me. That sort of third person horror / sci-fi / just linear driven, but with little places to explore, a specific way of play, enough variations of how you want to play with that character, which weapons you want to use, all that sort of stuff. It gave me all of these things, and it just was a really enjoyable experience. It gave me loads of different environments and all that sort of stuff. So what we'll do is, I think we'll break down. So we're going to break down Callisto Protocol, and we'll finish up doing some polls from this year, which is what I like to finish off with. Here it is. So yeah, I mean, it got, interestingly, I avoided the reviews words but looked at the scores, and I saw IGN gave it a 7, and I saw that Metacritic, it was balancing around the 76 mark at that point on the PS5, that's 73 on the Xbox, I think. And I was kind of like, that's interesting, right, okay. And then I avoided anything people had said about it because I wanted to make my own mind up. And I kind of went into it free of anyone else's opinion, which is the way you should play every game, right? So that's what I tend to do with them anyway. I tend to look at the scores if it's a game I'm really interested in, and then I'll avoid what they've said, and then I'll make my own mind up. So let's break it down. I mean, we got PS5 was sitting at, I mean, I think it's actually dropped now to lower scores, certainly for the normal folk like you and me reviewing it. But I think it's settled on around 76 and 73 respectively for PS5 and Series X on Metacritic. IGN gave it a 7. At this point of writing these notes, I was giving it a 9, which I'll probably stick with, to be fair. A PC was having big problems when it came out, but technical problems, so they addressed a lot of those problems on day one, and they released subsequent patches in days after and the weeks after. So I believe it's playing pretty solidly on the PC now, but they'll continue to patch it. They seem to be happy to do that, which is great. I've put a note down about ray tracing, but I can't think why. Is it because it's missing? I think there's no ray tracing. Oh no, I think weirdly, I feel like somebody said there was ray tracing on the PS5 but not on the Xbox Series X or something like that, which was a bit odd. So I'm not sure what that was all about, and I haven't investigated it any further. I wrote these notes down a little while back, actually, because I was going to do a separate vlog on the Callisto Protocol, but decided in the end I would just include it with my Game of the Year decisions. So both consoles, so I played them on both consoles back to back. I found the experience on both consoles similar. My experience on the Xbox Series X was smoother. I didn't have any crashes on the Series X. I had 3 crashes on the PlayStation 5, where it completely crashed me out of the game, took me to an error screen and had to load it back up again. Now that possibly is because I was on the disc patched version. Maybe if I'd got the full... I don't know if that's how these things can work. But certainly, I know other people that were on the PS5 that didn't have any crashes at all. So I don't know why I got crashes, but there you are. I wasn't doing anything spectacular at the time. I was just walking down corridors and stuff. So not sure what that was all about. But other than that, the experiences were pretty much identical. There was a few places, very few places, where after a boss fight, the frame rates went all jittery. You walk into the next room and everything's fine. That happened on both consoles. It wasn't specific to either one. And it was only a couple of times in the whole game. The visuals in this game, well, the atmosphere is brilliant. I mean, the sound effects in this game are just tremendous. From the music to the sound effects of the creatures to the sound effects of the ambience of where you are, the steam, the mechanics of the place, doors creaking, gel things opening. I mean, everything is just creepy as fuck. It's really, really cool. But along with being creepy, it's very sci-fi. It feels sci-fi. You feel like you're in on a different planet. It just feels, all the vibes are right before you've even sort of opened your eyes and looked at what's around you. So they got all of that right. The music's superb as well. The visuals so I think that's probably the best looking game I've seen on. I'm trying to think of a better looking game, and I can't think of one that I've played, and that's including The Last of Us Part 2 and The Last of Us Remake. Now I know those games are more open, so I understand that. I'm not liking them like for like, but I can't think of a game that looks better than that. And this game was made on Unreal Engine 4, not an Unreal Engine 5. But when you play the game, you can kind of see how they've managed to push that graphical experience towards you, because there are a lot of little places where it's not a loading screen, but we'll talk about it in a minute. But they've kind of been clever about how they've managed to push all that quality into each area. But visually, absolutely stunning. From you spend the first half of the game. I'm not going to spoil the game here, right? I'm not going to talk about the ending and stuff like that. I am going to try and make this as vague as possible. So if you haven't played it yet, I won't spoil anything. If I think I'm going to spoil something, I'll stop. Alright, so don't worry. But yeah, you do play a fair portion of the game not in any sort of spacesuit. You're in a jumpsuit that you start with. And it kind of dawned on me sort of quite well into the game. I thought, you know what, in the first 20 minutes, it might even be sooner, but the first 20 minutes of Dead Space, I'd have a suit by now. And I thought, this game wants me to be vulnerable. It wants me to feel vulnerable. It wants me to have very little protection. And the reason for that is it wants you to learn the dodge mechanic. And the dodge mechanic, once you get it down, it is superb. Like you can, it's very hard to get hit in this game if you know how to work that dodge mechanic. And it is very simple once you get used to it. And once you realise it's not a timed event, like if you're holding the left stick, when something suddenly starts swinging at you, you'll dodge it automatically. Just change back to the other direction immediately and it'll dodge again. And just keep doing that. You don't have to click it and let the stick ping back. No, keep holding it to the right till something swings. Keep holding it to the left till something swings. Keep holding it to the right till something swings. That's all you do. It's like a little, like, dance like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That's all you do. And if you're holding that stick when they swing at you the first time, it'll dodge it. And if you bunch it to the other side and hold it, it'll dodge it. You don't have to do it at the time they're swinging. Just keep holding it. So once you get that down, I went through I'm not sure if I've got the footage now, but I went through the first whole segment of the boss fight, the end boss fight, and I didn't get hit once by the first phase of the boss at the end. I'm not going to say any more than that, just to don't want to spoil anything. There was several other big enemies that didn't touch me, and the two-headed guy, the first one, you can't get hit by them anyway. They're a one-hit kill. So if you get hit by the two-headed jobbers, you're going to die anyway. That is why they're telling you, learn this dodge mechanic. Once you know it, you'll be fine. So for me, what was I on there? The visuals went way off track, people. Yeah, it was the visuals I was talking about. But the game looks incredible, and when it comes down to the groans of the game, where was I on my list here? So I had visuals. I've written a big list down here, and I'm trying to think of how to schmelt lumps of it together. Basically, is what I'm doing here, people. All right, let's not go on to the groans yet. Let's keep going. We'll go with so visuals, stunning, right? From they even had that's what I was going to talk about, because the jumpsuit, you think, well, I'm walking around in a jumpsuit, what's cool about that? But look at the character itself. They clearly wanted to show you Jacob and the sweat running down his brow and his face moving and talking when he's doing in-game talking. They wanted you to feel vulnerable against these characters because they were going to fight you in a particular way. It's about melee as much as it's about guns. You have to mix it up. It's about melee, it's about energy weapon, it's about guns and all sorts of things. You've got to manage your areas, because there's not enough ammo to get you through every area, especially on hard. So it didn't bother me that you're in a jumpsuit all the way around. The visuals on the actual station itself are superb. The only thing that stood out to me where the visuals were a little bit like odd was like everything looked amazing, but when you came across a little bit of fire, just like a little pocket of fire next to you, it was very cartoony. It didn't look like real fire. It just looked like it'd been plucked out of a cartoon and shoved on a little bundle of stuff. But when you looked at a big fire somewhere else, it was fine. So I don't know what was going on with that. It was a little bit odd. It was the only thing that jumped out at me visually that I thought that doesn't sit quite right. But it was a really tiny thing. I mean, everything else was just sublime. It was superb. I can't begin to tell you how good looking the game is. It's absolutely tremendous. And the cutscenes are seamless, going in and out of the character. Like, you go in and out of character in a cutscenes, you don't even notice the difference between the cutscene character and it's all in game. It's just incredible in game technology they're using. So yeah, visually stunning. So here we go on to the melee combat. So I think this should all kind of schmelt together. So we've got this. This is actually going to be a longer vlog than I thought it was going to be. People, you're getting a big one. Thank you. I've been holding this beer and it's warmed up because I've been holding it. So a lot of the grumbles came because people got... I saw a video of a guy playing it for about 5 minutes. He got bitch slapped 3 times from an enemy because he didn't know how to fucking dodge, and said the game's shit, I'm not playing that, and switched it off. And that is just lazy gamering, as far as I'm concerned. He clearly didn't want he didn't want to like the game the minute from the off. Like, if he'd wanted to like that game, he would have tried to learn the mechanics of the game, but he didn't. So he just basically, for me, he was just doing it to get views on a stupid video, frankly. But he gave that game no chance at all. He didn't learn the mechanics of the game. We had people moaning about not being able to fight enemies. It was too harsh. It was too hard. There was enemies that were repeated, and instead of having separate boss enemies. But for me, okay, there could have been more variety in different areas and different creatures, maybe. Like Dead Space had these areas where you were flying through tunnels and there was big things with tentacles. You had to shoot tentacles and shoot the middle bit and all that sort of stuff. There wasn't any of that sort of stuff in it. But when it comes to these two-headed creatures, which you'll know them when you see them, people, they first spring on you like a boss fight, and then you meet them a few times after that. They are difficult, and they're even more difficult on hard. You can't get hit by them. The minute you get hit by them, you die. So the game is telling you, learn the dodge mechanic. Once you know it, you'll be fine. That said, Craigie Boy said he didn't dodge them. He just kept running away from them and then getting some distance and then shooting them, get more distance and shoot them. That's another way of doing it. There is times when you've got to fight them with other enemies around them, and that becomes difficult to then dodge because it's trying to dodge multiple characters at the same time, can't do it, so you end up dying. I got really frustrated with that fight, particularly the second time I met one of these two-headed guys. There was other creatures coming at you. I was like, oh, it's not right. But you can do two things. One is take care of the creatures that come out. There's not many of them. I think you get 2 of them with that guy. So if you take care of them swiftly, you can go back to concentrating on the big guy. But when I played it the second time, I used the sprint button to get away from the big guy so that I could give myself time to deal with the little guys when they jumped out, get back to the big guy, deal with him. So, you know, but they can't touch you. If you know what you're doing with the dodge mechanic, they can't touch you, especially one-on-one. Like, if there's nothing else around, as long as you know what to do with that dodge mechanic, can't touch you, people. And I'm telling you now, I've beaten the best of that game not being touched of those bosses. So, it is, and if I can do it, anybody can do it, people. And that was me on hard mode. Because it doesn't matter if you're on hard or easy. The only difference between hard or easy is you're gonna get killed in one hit anyway from the two-headed guys. The only difference is it takes more bullets to put them down. So it is what it is. You've just got to learn the mechanic. And I found that when I played it the first time, I certainly didn't use anywhere near as many bullets as I did because I was playing it on normal on the Xbox Series X. When I played it the second time on the PlayStation 5 on hard mode, by far the second half of that game I was making ammo. Because, I mean, that said, I'd already leveled up all the things I wanted to level up anyway. Max damage on the pistol, max damage on the shotgun, that gives them both alt fires as well with more explosive rounds and blah. And then you've got the baton, which I'd leveled up the full power of it and an arm breaker thing on it, so that was really, you know, so I'd done everything. And the energy weapon, I'd got full power on that and full amount of charge and full amount of damage, and I didn't quite get to the quickest recharge time. I'd got 2 of them, but I didn't manage to get to the top. I would have done had I not had to buy ammo toward the end of the game. There's no way I would have got through the end of that game without using some of that money to buy up some ammo. But it's all about managing the rooms you're in. Like, the game wants you to die, and it wants you to learn how you died. And that's what they were trying to show people. It was like, you've walked into an area, and there's a particular way or 2 ways to get around this area. You can't just walk in and shoot your way through an area every time because you're not going to have enough bullets to do it. So you've got to start mixing up what you've got. You've got to use your energy weapon, you've got to use your baton, you've got to use your gun. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in trouble. And basically, every time you walk into a room, there's a multitude of things there that are going to help you. But obviously, through fear and through panic, that's how the game gets you. So each time you fail, you learn, and then I'm at a quote here. It was, one great move can win a fight, one wrong move can end you. It's that simple. Die, learn, kick some ass. That's I said that to somebody in a quote. Not in a quote, in a reply to a message. But that's this game all over, right? That is if I'm going to sum this game up, that's it. Because it's like that. Once you have read the room, and you can do these rooms first time, but if you fail, and each time you fail, just go, right, okay, well, I know he's coming from over there, or I know that I should have just spun it out. I've just noticed the big fecking fan, or I've just noticed the spiky wall, or I've just noticed a fire canister in the corner. All sorts of things that can get you through a room. You got to manage your way through it. They're not trying to be Isaac Clarke walking in with a javelin, a plasma cutter, and just shoot your way through a room. It's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to give a different experience, even though it's a similar type of experience. And I understood that from the off. I didn't want Dead Space. I wanted it to be its own thing. Yeah, there's a huge amount of similarities to Dead Space, but it's trying to be its own animal, and I loved it for it. Absolutely loved it for it. I mean, the level up system was nice and simple as it happens. It was a 3D printer. Every time you go to the shop, 3D printer, level your stuff up. Great. You find schematics, give you new weapons. Great. It was all very simple. It was all very straightforward. It was all about picking stuff up that you sold to get money to do your printer upgrades. Blah, blah, blah. So, from the fighting perspective, I loved it. Thought it was great. Could they mix it up a bit more? I mean, for me, hands down beats Dead Space in the world of melee, because there's no such thing in fucking Dead Space as melee. You just do this with your plasma cutter and hope for the best. So they've absolutely nailed that. They made the power weapon a bit less refined than Kinesis. It was far more power, like bash, like that. If you level that grip, it's GRP, isn't it? Called the grip. If you level that bad boy up to its full power, I mean, you're fucking destroying things with it, people. It's so powerful. It's unbelievable. The baton itself, I mean, when I started the game, you start with a pipe, because you don't get your baton for a little bit, and I was like, I just hope I get something that's... Initially, when I was watching the plays, the previews before the game came out, I thought, I hope you get multiple batons though, because it might get a bit boring with the same weapon all the time. But it didn't. Like mixing the you have the same baton, the same pistol, the same blah blah blah. Right, I'll not tell you what all the weapons are. But you start off with early on in the game you'll get those first two things, and the rest of the game you'll pick up other items that are other weapons that are going to help you out. Mixing, I used the three that I had and my grip, which is my power weapon, my arm thing, which you get again later in the game. The Kinesis, if you want to call it that, but it's called the grip in this game. And it's a bit more, as I say, a bit more trundling and bass-like and heavier in this game. And I'm mixing all of those things. I was having so much fun with those things. I didn't want anything else to worry about. And when other weapons did come along, it was like, well, I don't want to move to that weapon. I don't want to waste points on that weapon because I've got other things I want to upgrade here. And that's where the New Game Plus will come in when we get the DLC and New Game Plus later on. For me, the New Game Plus should have been there at launch. But I'm not gonna single them out and give them a hard time for it, because just about every game that comes out now, for some bizarre reason, doesn't have New Game Plus at launch. And they go, oh yeah, we'll give you it later. It's like, no, give me it fucking now, because I'm going to get to the end of this and I'm going to want to play it again. But it seems to be the thing, and I don't know if it's because it's somehow difficult to do, I can't imagine why it would be, or it's because they are deliberately leaving it out because they want you to go back and revisit the game later. And they know that you will if they put New Game Plus in later, with a bunch of DLC. You'll go back and suddenly the game's got a new breath of life. And I can understand them wanting to do that, but it's a bit shit for us as gamers. I don't think it's fair on us. I think you're asking us for 70 fucking quid now for a game, for fuck's sake. Don't give us a game that's not got basics in it. If you're going to charge us 70 fucking quid, then give us New Game fucking Plus, people, at launch. Not 6 months from now. That's not acceptable. It's a standard. It's been a standard in games for a long, long time. You shouldn't be not having that at launch. Weirdly, this game launched with a photo mode and not New Game Plus. I'd rather have had New Game Plus and not the photo mode. I'd rather you'd put the photo mode can come later. I don't mind that. I mean, loads of games do that as well. They add the photo mode later. But yeah, I'd rather you'd have left the photo mode and given us the New Game Plus from the off. The other thing that these are small gripes, by the way, and these don't affect my opinion of the 9 out of 10 for the game, because these don't affect my run through of the game. They affect me wanting to play it again, but they don't affect the game itself. What else was missing for me? There was only a couple of things. The reason it didn't get a 10 for me was simply because I feel like if they'd had another year, we would have had, for example, when you do finally get a different piece of kit to wear, that suit, much like Isaac does, he gets his suit and blah, there's nothing to do with that suit. You get a couple of extra perks with it, but that's it. Like, you don't get to upgrade it, you don't get to change it, you don't get, and it looks cool and what have you, and the whole segment, and the helmet's brilliant because it's like a proper space helmet, so it's glass at the front, so you can see, you can tell they didn't want to hide Jacob's face because it was so, the graphics they'd done on him was so superb. It's like, why would you hide his face? He's got all this sweat coming down, he looks like a real bloody person. And so the suit was fantastic, I absolutely loved it, but I feel like if they'd given themselves another year with this game to make it, we would have absolutely got some way of adding to this suit, making it more powerful, making it, you know, changing the look of it, whatever you like, we would have got more to do with that. I also feel like, given more time, we would have had more things to pick up in remote places. There's so many times I went looking around really dark corners and off the path to go and see what little hidden gems were about, and there just wasn't any. Usually things to pick up weren't that off the beaten track. Yeah, there's another avenue you can take, takes you on a little journey somewhere else, but in general, if it's a sort of open area with things to, you know, especially in the snow, for example, you go through this snow area and there's loads of little nooks and crannies, but I never found one thing in any of them. And it's just little things like that, I think, could have sprinkled a little bit of nicety on it. Just like, ooh, fucking hell, I found this bloody thing over there. Like, I'm glad I went off the beaten track for that. But there wasn't an awful lot of that in there, and I feel like that would have been more in the. There would have been more of that in the game if they'd had more time to make on it. And oddly, in every room where there was a shop. Well, not every room. In a lot of rooms where there was a shop, there's a drinks machine that makes all this noise and says, "Hey, drink this, drink that." But they don't do anything. But they're all shiny and like they're meant to be. It was almost like they were meant to be something. And what I feel like is they were meant to replenish your health or something, but they don't do anything. They just beside every shop there's this drinks machine that sells cans of blah, but you can't get anything out of them. But they just make all this noise, and it was almost like they definitely were going to do something with those drink machines, and they just didn't have enough time. Why are these drink machines even in existence? What's that all about? Right next to the 3D printers in a lot of places. So, yeah, but these are very small things that I just sort of noticed as I was going through. And I kind of like the fact it was almost like a cross between Dead Space and The Evil Within to some degree. Because it put those Evil Within sneak parts in, you know, where you can crouch and you can take down enemies stealth style. There's a huge section where you can do the whole thing in stealth style. But, I mean, you really want to as well, especially on hard, because if you noise those particular ones up, they are really hard to kill, especially when they get the tentacles out and they start, get stronger. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. Everything about this game gave me a massive buzz. Yeah, could it have had more sprinkles on top? Yeah, of course it could. Could they have given themselves another year to do it? Yeah, they could, and it would have probably been a lot stronger for it. But they absolutely wanted this game out before Dead Space Remake hit. They absolutely wanted it out before Resident Evil 4 Remake hit. They wanted to be the first ones to revive this survival horror type thing, this action horror type thing that's going on. And I understand that. They had a timeline, they wanted to make it. And I think they've hit it, and they've hit it well. And I think they were hard done by a lot of people, because a lot of people didn't want to take the time out to learn those mechanics and understand what the game was trying to make you do, which was figure out a way to get through this room. I mean, it's kind of like it's like Dead Space meets Dark Souls. It doesn't want you to walk through the room and find it easy and just shoot your way through it. It wants you to think about it, and it wants you to work your way through the room. So it's a challenge. I mean, if you want to just see it through in story, then just put it on easy mode and just see it through in story. You know, just stick it in easy mode and get through it. It's fine. That said, I mean, I'm feeling like easy mode most likely is a one-hit kill with those two head guys anyway. But even still, it's not. Once you figure a room out, it isn't hard, people, at all. It just feels really hard. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've played it on two consoles now. And both gave me I mean, especially when I played it on hard on the PlayStation 5, there were areas where I was like, fucking hell, right, okay. Didn't find this like this on normal. What's going on here? And they spring into the second, like when the tentacles come out, and they definitely seem to go into their higher mode of being quicker if you don't get those tentacles shot off. I did feel like there was more enemies. I didn't feel like in general there was more enemies. I felt like the enemies converted quicker to the second phase, definitely they hit harder, and definitely they take more to go down. There was one area though where I felt like, yeah, there was again, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a bit where you're kind of in a confined area. There's loads of them coming at you, or they're sort of coming up at you in intervals. I felt like there was definitely more in that particular fight than there was in when I played it on normal. It was more in the hard mode, I'm sure of it. Other than that, I don't feel like there was more enemies. I just feel like it was tougher to put them down and they hit harder. I didn't feel like the drops were worse in hard mode or anything like that. I felt like I still had as much stuff. I just felt like in hard mode, in normal mode, I was actually selling bullets. At one point, I had so many of them. But in hard mode, it got to a point in the game where I thought, right, I need bullets. Right, it's just, I'm going to make hard work for myself if I don't have bullets. So, yeah, that's it. I mean, I know not everyone's going to agree with me. I know everyone doesn't agree with me. I know there are people that do agree with me and think it's a fantastic game. It has been a Marmite game. It's been Marmite. You've either loved it or you haven't loved it. You've either got it or you haven't got it. It is kind of what you wanted or it wasn't. And for me, it was everything I wanted it to be. Well, nearly everything I wanted it to be, or otherwise it would be a 10 out of 10. But it was everything I wanted it to be. To be honest with you, Grim Dawn was going to be the top of this list. And I think, giving myself another week or two to think about it, maybe it would have slid up and down a little bit. But I have to go with Callisto just because it's the sort of game I've been missing for so long. And I had to play it again immediately afterwards. I couldn't not. Well, I just wanted to get straight back into it. And I'm so glad I bought it twice now because there was no New Game Plus. It gave me an excuse to go and play it on the PS5 for the trophies. So, I loved it, people. So there you go. It's my game of the year. I think I covered everything in my notes. Which leaves us, people. Leaves us. And I've been going on for an hour and a half nearly here, people. We're going to quickly go through. Oh, God blimey, get to the right list, Stephen. We're just going to go through the polls from the year, which I like to do in these things, people. I did have this open yeah, here we go. So this was the 11 months ago. Funnily enough, 11 months ago, I was putting stuff up about Grim Dawn on the community. So these are the polls that I put up on the community. Diplomatic community. Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard for $70 billion. How's your feels? Holy crap, super excited, 67%. Holy crap, super bummed, 11%. Holy wait, not bothered, 22%. So most people were excited about that one. Hey there, awesome people. Do you know what, actually? I'm going to put my glasses on, people, because I am struggling to read that. Oh. Right. Hey there, awesome people. I need to decide whether to get Elden Ring Day 1 and pre-order it. Do you want to see me play it on the channel? Well, there was a resounding 81% said yes, and nah, not fussed, 19%. And that was out of 53 votes, people. That last one was out of 81 votes. So 80 out of 81 votes, which is a lot for my little channel, people. 67% were super excited about the Bethesda buyout. 81% out of 53 wanted me to play Elden Ring, so that happened. Flag Us Up Friday podcast incoming, awesome people. So much to discuss in preparation. What Star Wars game are you most excited for from Respawn, who have 3 Star Wars games in development? The 3 options were Jedi Fallen Order 2, which is Jedi Survivor, we know now, first person story game, and XCOM style strategy game. Well, without any doubt, 50% Jedi Survivor won that one out of 44 votes. 34% was a first-person story game, and 16% was the XCOM style one. I'd be interested to see XCOM Star Wars game, though. Not XCOM, but that style of strategy game. Who would you like to see me... would you like to see me... Oh, hang on. Will we start that again, people? Who would like to see me... Let's play Knights of the Old Republic RPG for the first time ever? Well, there was 52 votes and it was a resounding 73%, but when I actually put the videos up initially, there wasn't much of an uptake on them. I think they are quite highly viewed now. So maybe I've been a bit harsh on Knights of the Old Republic, even though, you know... So 73% said yes, 15% said not sure, and no thanks was 12% out of 52 people. More Grim Dawn being recorded today, awesome people. I will also record some of the winner of this poll. More Dragon Age Origins or Knights of the Old Republic. Well, this might be why this happened. More Dragon Age Origins won out at 61% and Knights of the Old Republic at 39%. So I did go and record more of the Dragon Age Origins, which we talked about earlier, which I will get back to at some point. Recording a Flaggers Up Friday podcast shortly, awesome people. In prep, let me know what initially drew you to the channel. Vlog/podcast, let's play or live stream. 0% was live stream. This is out of 30 votes. 83% said let's plays and 17% said vlog/podcast. 3 more days till Elden Ring, people. Who's got it pre-ordered? 43% of you said hell yeah, baby. 30% said we'll get it sometime, and 27% said nah, not for me. That was out of 77 votes. That was a post about, 97 Metascore on Elden Ring when it came out. I don't know what it is now, but Flaggers Up Sunday incoming, awesome people. This the title is Elden Ring really that good? What's your answer? 10 out of 10 said, was your score a 10 out of 10 was 57%, 9 out of 10 was 12%, 8 out of 10 was 7%, 7 out of 10 was 13%, and other was 10%. So 57% of people said that Elden Ring was a 10 out of 10. Non-gaming questions. Best sitcom is... Oh, right. I did a best sitcom. I was actually binge watching Seinfeld, which is why this came about. Non-gaming question. Best sitcom is... Frasier, Seinfeld or Friends, and it's quite surprising actually. Out of 38 votes was, not surprising, the answer, the biggest one was Friends. I expected that. Seinfeld was 32% and Frasier was 21%. I actually expected Seinfeld to be lower down than Frasier, but there you go. For me, I love Seinfeld. It's one of my all-time favourites, all time. But I do love Frasier as well. Friends. Back in the day, I would have said it was Friends, but I think because I've seen it so much now, I feel like I've seen every episode about 50 times. I think it's kind of worn thin. Whereas whenever I watch Seinfeld or Frasier, they never seem to wear on me quite as much. But maybe I've just not watched them as much. But yeah, Seinfeld, I just adore that series. It was one of those with a really weird ending, though, wasn't it, as well? Anyway, what we got left? Flags Up Friday podcast incoming. Lots to discuss in preparation. What's more exciting, Starfield or Dragon's Dogma 2? Well, that's surprising. Starfield with 45% and Dragon's Dogma 2 with 55% out of 31 votes. More people excited about Dragon's Dogma than Starfield. Flags Up gaming podcast incoming. What are you most excited for? Callisto Protocol or Dead Space remake? Well, that was a vote of 20 people. 70% said Callisto Protocol and 30% said Dead Space remake. I wonder if they still feel the same way. I certainly do. Although I am now far more stoked for Dead Space remake than I was after seeing a lot of the little teasers they've given us and videos of how they've made it, and it does look superb, has to be said. Flaggers Up Saturday incoming. In prep, what would you rather have had? Skull and Bones or Assassin's Creed Black Flag at 60 FPS? Out of 20 votes, a resounding 85% of you said Assassin's Creed Black Flag is 60 FPS, please. 15% says Skull and Bones. I'd love to play Black Flag again, but I just can't bring myself to play it at 30 FPS now. Flaggers Up and I have tried, people. It doesn't run any higher. It is 30 FPS. It's locked. Flaggers Up Friday podcast incoming. What is the right and appropriate price for a AAA first party game on console? This is out of 34 votes. 29% said £40, 38% said £50, 29% said £60, 3% said £70. So 3% of you think that it's okay to charge us 70 quid for a first party title. Never mind that. I mean, if you're buying digitally, you're going to be paying 70 quid no matter if it's first or third party, to be fair. I got Callisto Protocol on PS5 for £45 for PS5 physically. If I'd bought it, I bought it on the Xbox, it was $64.99 I think, or something like that. If I'd bought it physically for the Xbox, it would have been 45 quid. So there's still a massive problem between physical copies of games and digital copies of games, as far as I'm concerned. That said, that's not true of Dead Space. Dead Space is, even physically, is £65. It's not that much of a difference, I think. If they are new gen specific games, it seems to be they're going to lock that price in between 60 and 70. Hey there, who wants the Fantasy League code? Alright, no, there wasn't enough people who showed interest in that, as it happens. I think I dished it out to a few of you, I can't remember. Flags Up Friday vlog is uploading right now. In preparation, what's your most beloved console of all time? 26% said PS2, 12% said Xbox, 9% said original Xbox, that is. 9% said PS3, Xbox 360 got 26%, and other got 26%. That was out of 34 votes. So it's pretty balanced, wasn't it? Everyone's got their own little love, I think. Who's pre-ordered The Last of Us Remake? Hell yeah, 8%. Oh hell no, 92% out of 26 votes. That's pretty resounding. I'm not buying that fucking game a third time, isn't it? To be fair, I only did it because it is one of my favourite games of all time, to be fair. But who's getting Callisto Protocol Day 1? Hell yeah, 46%. Nah, not me, bruh, 54%. Who's playing the whole awesome Witcher 3 story again Day 1 on the 14th of December? Oh hell yeah, 65%. I'll replay it sometime at 5%. Nah, not me, bruh, 30%. So resounding 65% of you will into the Witcher 3 by now, methinks. What's going to win the Game of the Year at the Game Awards 2022? A resounding 66% said Elden Ring, and 20% said God of War Ragnarok, and other was 14%. Elden Ring did win it, so it was 66% got it right. And there you are, people. That is it. All the polls done. And just to reiterate what we were talking about channel-wise being a successful year, the channel's growth has kind of stayed fairly level, but we have gone up a little bit. And that's fine. I mean, I'm absolutely fine with that. And it does fluctuate. Sometimes I play what I want to play and things drop a little bit. Sometimes I play what I feel like people are enjoying and keep playing that, and then it rises a bit. So, for example, when I play Callisto, I expect to see people drop out and unsub me because they don't want to see a horror game, and then when I start putting The Witcher back up, Witcher 3 up, I suddenly get RPG people back. Just the nature of the beast. Anyway, my snapshot for the year from YouTube is 163.7 thousand views, 864.7 thousand watch time minutes, 3,284 likes, 156 new subscribers, and October was the month with the most views. So there you go. I mean, that for me, that's an uber successful year for a little channel like me, people. Superb, absolutely brilliant. And again, thank you to all of you for making it a successful year on the channel. Absolutely brilliant. So there you are, folks. I've gone on way longer than I ever anticipated I would. I mean, I think I kind of in the back of my head I was like, if I start talking about Callisto in depth, we might be here for a while. That's not a bad thing, people, is it? You know, we've not had a vlog for a while, and I think an hour and 40 minutes, which is what we're approaching, is no bad thing. Well, there you are, people. I've been talking so much, I've not even got anywhere near finishing this yet. Well, there's no head on it. Flag is up to you all once again, people. Now, I will, as I said earlier, probably think about doing a New Year's Eve one, but if I don't, then, you know, take this as me saying thank you, and and you're all very awesome. But I'm hoping that I will do something toward New Year as well, just to do another vlog. I've actually really enjoyed spraffing away down here. It is more comfortable than upstairs. It's also a little bit easier for me to just sit down and do, because I don't have to think about going on to Google and getting loads of screenshots for the telly and all that sort of stuff. So it is a little bit simpler just to sit down and record in here. The only thing I can't do, which is probably nicer for you guys, is the microphone can't quite come up to here and we do the proper, because I take the sensitivity down and do the podcast like I'm talking into the mic. I put the sensitivity right up with this mic and then just have it a little bit away because it doesn't reach up here. But I think to some degree it's probably just feels a little bit nicer that I'm not sat with the microphone in front of me, I suppose. But anyway, I digress, people. Well, there you are. We have reached another Christmas, people. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for supporting the channel once again. To everybody from the beginning who's been watching from the beginning, stopped from the beginning, followed me all the way through, people that have just joined, anyone who's got any joy out of this channel whatsoever or supported me through this year, thank you to each and every one of you. Keep the comments coming, keep the interaction coming. Remember, I do have the Discord open chat now. If you want to chat about games, or if you want to just be in that Discord group, and then it's not something that just keeps, we don't talk constantly on it. It's just whenever something interesting happens, someone will pop something up, and then people will chat about it, then it quiets down again, and then someone else will pop something up. So it's all just nice to have a little place to just immediately go and interact with other gamers. There's not a huge amount of people on there as yet. I think there's about 7 of us, maybe, of people that are on the channel that have joined in the Discord chat. I will I'll try and remember and put another link to it in the description below. So if you want to keep in touch where you can just talk to us like this, then, well, talk to me, but there'll be other people there, obviously. If you want to go and talk to the group, and I will respond as well, then go and, well, if you've got Discord, just join in with the link. If you don't have Discord, think about setting up a little Discord account. You can come and join in. And but if you continue just wanting to use YouTube as the place to communicate with me, then by all means, I still want to hear from you in the comments below. I still want you to interact with me, and it's the whole, as I keep saying, people, it's the whole reason I created the channel in the first place, is to get together with all you good gamer folks out there. There you are. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I will hopefully speak to you again on the brink of New Year. If I do not, have a fantastic New Year, but I will try and speak to you before then. And I shall bid you farewell, people. Merry Christmas to you all, and I shall see you all very soon. Take it easy. Bye.